Over to you. Our second speaker will go first. Sorry, we have a slight challenge at the moment. And then when the first speaker comes, she would become second. So over to you, Kedaitefia.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies, or morning, depending on where you are in the world. I welcome you to this special presentation, the United Nations CSW 63. Most of us would have really loved to be at the UN virtually, but we know how things are in the world. We're trusting that by the next meeting, we will not be virtual, it will be a live meeting where we get to meet each and every one of us. Okay, we'll just go straight to it. I'll be introducing the first speaker. Okay, so please, in the meantime, if you can just put your phone on pause and take the link and put on your WhatsApp status so that we can have more people coming to view this amazing presentation, which I believe will be very beneficial to every woman out there. So in just a few seconds, just pick up the link and put on your WhatsApp status and let them know that we are live. You can also share to groups and friends and families so we can get going in just a few seconds. Please, let's just put up the link on our WhatsApp status and come back immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, what's the time in Nigeria now?
It's 1:33
Okay.
p.m.
So we got it wrong at the flying.
Yeah. Please, can someone, I don't know if someone can just put up the link on the box so those who don't have it can get it from there, please. In just 5 seconds, just put it on your status and then we are back. We are good to go. Okay, I'm almost there.
Okay. Done.
Done. Okay, so I'll just give one more second to some other people to get it done. I'm trying to share to other groups too, so we can get many people join us.
Awesome idea. Appreciate it.
Please just give us I'm trying to share to other groups, please. Okay. Okay, done. So we'll just get to it now. Okay, so we have many amazing speakers for today. The theme is engaging gender equality in daily life through social media. We know how powerful social media is at the moment. Almost everything happens now on social media. So I'll be introducing our first speaker to you right away. She's a consultant radiologist with years of practice in different countries. She's a fellow of the National Postgraduate Medical College, Nigeria, and also an associate member of West African College of Surgeons. She's creative, very innovative, and she's performance driven with a very strong capacity to manage multiple projects with strict deadlines. She's absolutely dedicated to humanitarian services and has invested more than 16 years of experience in rural health. And she has successfully carried out more than 40 outreaches, of which, of course, I'm a part of more than 60 of them within the last 5 years. She has strengthened the existing healthcare services wherever she strengthens existing healthcare services wherever she finds herself. And as a result, she has provided free healthcare for thousands of women and children and men in Nigeria. She is the former president of Medical Women Association of Nigeria, Cross River State, and the past vice president of Nigerian Medical Association, Cross River State. And she's currently the president and founder of Pink Africa Foundation, where she globally networks to reduce the burden of cancer for women in Africa. Her name is Dr. Nchewi Ani, also known globally as the Pink Lady. Please let's warmly welcome our first speaker, the Pink Lady. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. I like the way the turn of events. I was meant to be third speaker, but since you've asked me to go first, I will. Angel or Frank, please, can you put my slides up?
Okay, hold on.
My slides up. Can you hear me?
Yes, still working.
Please.
Yes, we can.
Pulling the file right now.
All right, thanks. So basically, I'm here to talk about the impact of social media on breast cancer awareness, and my emphasis is on the boobs pledge or the breast pledge in quotes. My name is Nchewi Elemiani. I'm president founder Pink Africa Foundation, as you were told. Please, may the slide progress. By way of introduction, self-breast examination remains the most vital tool and the primary tool for the detection of breast cancer on the African continent. This is because we do not have access to the very sophisticated radiological investigations in most parts of Africa using Nigeria's prototype. Most of the women live in the rural communities, and the rural communities do not have access to the mammography machine or the ultrasound in all the nooks and crannies of the rural communities. Most times they have to commute to the urban centers, which will be 3 to 5 hours and sometimes 7 hours away by road, by sea, or a combination of both. However, in advanced country, the self-breast examination is discouraged because it is laden with lots of anxiety and lots of misdiagnosis or overdiagnosis. Hence, the advice to carry out annual breast cancer screenings in the health facilities in advanced countries. Other climes have gravitated to more regular radiological and histological methods for diagnosis, which has less anxiety, you're sure of your diagnosis, and there's prompt diagnosis, there's prompt institution of treatment, and the patients can aim for a cure. Someone's hand is up. So, hi, Blessing, why is your hand up? Can you hear me? Am I audible enough?
Yeah, I can hear
Yes,
you.
we can hear you.
Sorry, it is
All
a
right.
mistake. Sorry, that's a mistake.
Thank you. Our subscription to the Boobs Pledge is an intentional way for us to reach the unreached, an intentional way for us to reach women and girls in the rural communities who know nothing about the annual ultrasound scans for those less than 40 years of age and the annual breast mammography methods for checking the breast for those above 40 years of age. So we use the boobs pledge to reiterate the need to know how to examine your breast for yourself and to monthly check the breast so that if there are any incidental findings, you can report promptly to the hospital. Hence, we launched the boobs pledge across all social media platforms, especially the WhatsApp group, which is the most potent social media platform for us in Nigeria for dissemination of information. Initially, it used to be the Facebook, But you see, the WhatsApp group can be operated by even the market woman. So it's the best outlet for us as Pink Africa Foundation. Next slide, please. Please, next slide. So it's a well-known fact that technology can be applied to anything and any field. So we decided to call it Tech Breast Facts, in that we're disseminating breast cancer information or breast cancer awareness on the social media platform. The social media campaigns are been utilized to spread the word about breast cancer, the signs and symptoms, availability of screening facilities and screening options, and the self-breast examination, how best to touch the breast to make a diagnosis or a preliminary diagnosis of the existence of a lump or abnormality affecting the breast. Our key social media platforms utilized, like I said earlier, is the WhatsApp group, the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. These campaigns aim at identifying and addressing the barriers and inequalities in accessing apt information, the application of apt knowledge, and access to prompt breast care in our society, all in a bid to aim for prompt diagnosis and to increase the rate of survival for the women who incidentally may come down with the disease. Next slide, please. Yes, while there has been an improvement in the science and technology and medical practice with regards to health, breast cancer treatment, there's still a wide disparity in the access to facilities that will aid prompt diagnosis and treatment of breast cancer worldwide, and the low and medium income countries are worst hit. Now, the barriers to barriers to accessing healthcare constitute the inequalities that we are talking about. The mere fact that you live in Africa, you are at a disadvantaged position. What you do, what your level of income is, and how much you have access to the health insurance scheme is also a limiting factor. Most health insurance schemes do not have the annual breast cancer screening as part of its benefits for people who subscribe to it or women who subscribe to it. So the woman is left to do out-of-pocket expenditure, which we know is catastrophic with respect to breast cancer care. And most times our patients arrive at the hospital gate in their stages 3 or stages 4 of breast cancer, and we can only but do palliation. And then it's interesting to know that palliative care is not so common in Africa, as the women that are involved or the girls that come down with the disease are unable to afford palliative care. So what do we do? Next slide, please. Like I said, okay, this slide just gives an emphasis on that your geographical location can be a limitation to your access to care. It's estimated that about 10 million people die from breast cancer worldwide, and 70% of the deaths are found, in low and medium income countries. And less than 30% of these countries have access to prompt or current treatment services for cancer. Next slide. There are at least 428 dedicated stereotactic radiosurgical systems in the United States, and we have only 6 of those in Nigeria. And imagine a population of over 200 million people. That's what we're talking about. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. We have many people living on less than $2 per day. And that's not enough to take care of food on the table, talk less of treatment for cancer. Next slide. Now, the Boobs Pledge is an effort by Pink Africa Foundation to inculcate regular breast self-examination by girls and women globally. We started in the heat of COVID, when we were not sure if we were going to have a regular annual breast cancer campaigns. And we wanted to do something, to reiterate the fact that early diagnosis is key. And so, next slide, we put together we try to harness the power of the social media space in our breast cancer campaign, hence the Boobs Pledge. The Boobs Pledge came about from casual comments on our Pink Africa page from volunteers. And then we had different entries from different volunteers. It was an interesting moment for us until we had a final draft that was universally agreed by all the members that this was going to be the Boobs Pledge for us as Pink Africa. And it was written by the face of Pink Africa for 2018, Ms. Fisayo Patrick Enya. The Boobs Pledge is currently open to amendment, so I call on everyone to help us. If there's something you think we can add that will make it more globally acceptable, please send it to us, to the Pink Africa Foundation. Please help me type the chat box, thepinkafrica@gmail.com, so that we can amend the Boobs Pledge to be all inclusive. Next slide. Like I said before, for us at Pink Africa Foundation, the Boobs Pledge is a verbal commitment by women and girls to be breast aware for life, a pledge to have sustained breast consciousness, intentional breast care, a pledge for early positive health-seeking behavior, and it's a very simple tool for early diagnosis in low and middle income areas. It also help us to dispel the misinformation and the superstitions that surrounds breast cancer. Next slide. Yes, every 2 minutes, one woman gets diagnosed with breast cancer. Next slide, please. I don't know if you can run it fast. And then breast cancer is the second leading cause of disease amongst women after skin cancer. Next slide. This is the burden of the disease we're talking about. Men also have breast cancer. So it's important as a woman to check your man. It's less common. I think it's one in 100. I think that's the statistics. I will have to double check. 1 in 1,000 or 100,000 men more likely to come down with the disease. But if there is a breast lump in a man, there's 90% chance that lump will be cancerous, or 99%, 1% chance that lump will be cancerous if there's a breast lump in a man. So not only women have breast cancer, men also come down with breast cancer. Next slide, please. Next slide. 8 out of 10 women in their lifetime will get diagnosed with breast cancer. So it's important for us to be breast aware. The aim of the Boobs Pledge is to CITE. CITE is an acronym that was coined by one of our partners from Glint Global, Grace Bassi. S is to sensitize the public on the need to be breast aware. I is to inspire women and girls and their partners to be intentional breast care. T is to teach women and girls the act of self-breast examination, and E is to educate everyone to look out for breast cancer signs. Next slide, please. Next slide. This is one of our activities.
Self-breast examination and essence. I'll get everyone to look out for breast cancer signs.
Okay, so this is the Boobs Pledge. So please, I don't know if everyone can see the PowerPoint. If you can, please help us take the pledge. Okay, I will start. 1, 2, go. I pledge. You can on your microphones. 1, 2, go. I pledge to my boobs. Put your hands up, the right hand up. I pledge to my boobs, regardless of size. Right, to keep it safe and self-examine,
to caress
and feel for love
every month,
then
and
report
report
to the doctor
if
any found.
I
pledge
to
my
my
boobs,
boobs,
regardless
regardless
of
is
size, to always look out for cancer signs,
for health,
for a healthy boobs,
health
makes
is
a healthy
baby.
So
help
God.
God. Thank you very much. So that's the Boobs Pledge. It's open to amendments. Please send us your comments and help it go viral. Help us share it. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what can we do? In addition to the Boobs Pledge, we can go beyond this organize free screening campaigns in rural communities, get partners to help us provide basic radiological machines like the ultrasound, mobile ultrasound machines, the mobile mammo machines, so that we can reach the hinterlands. And then we can support women who we incidentally pick the breast cancer lesions in for treatment, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and now immunotherapy. And I hear acupuncture is also good for pain management. So that's what we can do. Next slide. How many more? I think I've overshot my time. If breast cancer is caught early, we can aim for a cure. Next slide, please. Yes, this is how we did it. We did it across all social media platforms in various languages across the world. We had the boobsledge set in local dialects in Nigeria, like Efik, Hausa, Yoruba, Chekiri, different dialects. And then we had the boobsledge set in French. We had it in Italian language. People joined us from all over the world, Australia, and it was massive for us. So we encourage you to help us share the boobs pledge and let it go global. Next slide. Next slide. This is the link if you want. We will send the PowerPoint to you so you can click on it. It has a summary of a few boobs pledge that were a bit striking for us. We put them on our social media platform at Pink Africa Foundation YouTube channel. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, click on this. This is the last one we will play. We call it the boobs pledge for all nations. Please, can we play this? It should play, and this would be the last one. All right. I don't know if the video will play, but for want of time, I want to thank you all for listening. I look forward to the question and answer sessions, and I will do well to type in the chat box the link for the boobs pledge in the various languages. It's an interesting one. Thanks, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anita. That was very educative, very interesting. And we're trusting that by October this year, the book pledge will go viral so that we can all say it and, use it as a reminder to take care of our boobs. All right, we'll just go straight to the next speaker. She'll be speaking on endangering and leveraging STEM for advancing gender equality. Her name is Dr. Loretta Ngozi Ndu. She's an educationist and she's the co-founder of You Be the Scientist, a STEM program that trains secondary school students in Enugu State of Nigeria. She's a co-founder of a non-profit organization called Community Skills Acquisition Center that has trained over 200 persons in ICT. She's the former Central Bank of Nigeria partner on Train the Trainer, a financial literacy and entrepreneurship program that trained over 2,000 people in Enugu. She's the first biology chairman at Godfrey Ukehe University and a professor in chemistry. She's also an environmental educator and has conducted various analytical testing and documentations for Enugu State Ministry of Environment, Nigeria Brewery, Coca-Cola PLC, 7-Up PLC, and ShopRite in Enugu. Professor Ngozi is an entrepreneur, the founder of Clark Pharmaceutical Company Limited, an indigenous drug and beauty care products manufacturing company in Nigeria in the United States of America. She belongs to several professional groups, including membership of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Chemical Society of Nigeria, Cosmetic Society of America, and she was a General Secretary of AWIP Nigeria 2019. Please, with a loud ovation, help me welcome Professor Ngozi, who will be speaking to us for 15 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yeah, we can hear you. Good morning, Prof.
Thank you for having me on this platform, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share what I believe is I'm very passionate about education. Can I have the slides? Thank you. You know, I had to carefully craft what I wanted to deliver. And in this case, when I use the word engendering, it's intentional. When I use the word leveraging, it's intentional. And when I use the word equality or gender disparity, I'm very intentional in what I'm talking about because it's out of experience. It's out of what I see in our environment. I've been a teacher in Nigeria and I'm a teacher in US. I've gone across primary, secondary, and tertiary institution. And I've had over 30 years in teaching, regardless of everything else I do on the side. So I'm very passionate about science and what science can do. And I find out in my process that science, as early as you can get science in the mind and in the thoughts and in the words of the young child, especially the girl child, then automatically you set them up to be better and to be a STEM career oriented individual as they grow older. Next slide, please. So when I talk about engender, what do I mean? I'm looking for the word originate, to create. I want it to be simple. I want to communicate what we're looking at. And we're looking at social media as a STEM, as an avenue to deliver STEM education. So engender, I want to create something that is not commonly found on social media. And I'm leveraging what we have in social media platforms because we know is a way we connect to everybody, similar ideas, similar interests, professional, you name it, you find it, lifestyle. So my goal is to take this engendering, which is to create leveraging on social media and turn it into a lifestyle from a girl child to a woman. Next slide, please. So in my introduction goes into 3 formats. What's the current practice? What is the desired practice? What should be the optimal practice? And the goal of this whole thing is, I use this word that my friend and I were talking about. I said, this is a good word for this, is reciprocity. What am I looking at? What you give is what you get. So what we see on the platform now, is it what we want? If it's not what we want, then we intentionally go there and put what we want so that the girl child and the woman, just like the last speaker talking about breast cancer, she hit it. The social media, especially for Nigerian, it's WhatsApp. What is your intentionality when you're presenting your information? What is the group? How are you doing it? Next slide, please. Current practice versus desired practice. Now, very common, we know decades again, science, we're only towards men. It wasn't marketed to girls. As time went on, we began to like, okay, the girl can be this, the girl can be a doctor, it can be a nurse, it can be an engineer. In fact, it took a long time before girls became engineers. So what am I looking at? How would we use social media to market STEM programs to girls as early as primary 3? And I say primary 3, even primary 1, 2, but primary 3 is the point where there's a shift from just getting them to know the words to what they're doing to where they're actually articulating and manipulating numbers in terms of mathematics, in terms of science, and in terms of specific science. So reciprocity, is what I'm looking at. I am giving information to that girl, especially from primary 3 as they go on. And not only that, I want them to be talking science. Science has a language. Math has a language. English has its own language. Everything is interwoven. It's cross-curriculum. So the tendency for teachers is to separate science from what we teach. But the reality is that everything around you is science. Next slide, please. So what is my strategy? I call it the science language. What is the science language? Everything you see around you is science. The glasses I'm wearing is science. The clothes I'm wearing is science. So if I'm on a platform, on a social media, how am I using science in my communication? How am I engaging especially the women platforms? Because that's where this got to go. If we get to the women platforms, and because they're going to carry it home. When they get home, they are transferring that information to the child. If they have 4 children, that's 4 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 1 child, that's 1 life that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 2 children, that's 2 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 3 children, that's 3 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 4 children, that's 4 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 5 children, that's 5 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 6 children, that's 6 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 7 children, that's 7 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 8 children, that's 8 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 9 children, that's 9 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 10 children, that's 10 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 11 children, that's 11 lives that you have brought into STEM program. If they have 12 child If they have 6, that's 6 you've brought into STEM. If they have 2, and if she is intentional in everything she's doing, when she's teaching, when she's cooking, when she's whatever she's doing, you be intentional in delivering science language. Then that child will have no hindrance. The ambiguity of science is removed. Their mind is free. There's liberty of the mind to explore and to engage in any science environment. Next slide, please. 1 minute. Can you go back to that last slide? I want to make a point. There's a perception that science is hard. That is the biggest lie. And that's the one thing I want to dispel, because science is, the science is, how am I hearing myself? It's science. How am I looking at this screen? It's science. So it's in the delivery method that we remove the difficulty that is presented as being in this perception of science being difficult. Next slide, please. Desired practice on social media. Okay. Remember, the key word for me as I go through this is intentionality. You be STEM in your language. What do I mean by that? We know science, technology, engineering, mathematics is STEM. How do you become STEM in your language? So let's assume I'm a young mother and I'm in the kitchen cooking, or I'm making soup, or whatever it is I'm making. And I'm getting water and my baby's next to me. I'm like, okay, water. What is water? It's just water, we drink it. Yes, but do you know that water has molecules in it? Water has hydrogen, water has oxygen. And the baby's like, they might not understand it, but you have to inject the concept right in their head. And you talk about meat. Where does meat come from? Oh, cow? Or is it a chicken? It was a bird? What is a bird in science? It's biology. What can I learn with biology? And I talk about cells. They are made of cells. The cells come together, you get a system, and you break it down. The question is, does the mother have the information? So as I'm talking about be STEM in your language, be STEM as a STEM agent, and be intentional and be STEM mindfulness. This is how you do it. So next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, STEM marketing. I'm marketing STEM to my baby at home. I'm marketing STEM. I don't have to be a school teacher to market STEM. I'm marketing STEM to the women that I belong to on the platforms. I'm being intentional to say, okay, if we are interested in fabrics, what kind of fabrics? Cotton fabrics, linen fabrics, polyester fabrics? How are polyesters made? The beautiful thing about our world today is every information is at your fingertips. So for that woman that doesn't know, but because you have intentionality in what you're doing, you just Google it. You don't have to know the whole picture, but you just have to get a basic information, enough information that you can communicate. And all it takes is sitting still long enough to look up the information and then intentionally go to your platform and deliver the message. Remember, charity starts at home. So you have to start this with your little groups. You market it to the women in your groups. You market it, you market it to the women in your groups. You market it if you're at your work, you turn your conversations into science. Yeah, sometimes the people will say, oh, you're always talking science. But believe me, they're listening. And when they get home, they find themselves talking the same science to their children. I have an incident where a friend of mine, we were talking, and she was explaining how she had a calculus problem in school, and the parents couldn't communicate this, but the mom had a friend who was a pre-med who brought the lady to tutor her, and in 4 sessions, she aced her class. Think about that. The parents knew that if they got the real, they always say we get tutoring, but there's intentionality in whatever we're doing. We're marketing it, and we're working at all levels, and we're making it a lifestyle. Next slide, please. Okay, what is my goal in this social media? I want to be an agent to change this disparity. Men are typically believed and encouraged to be science-oriented. Women are typically believed and encouraged to go in the kitchen, cook, and just take care of babies. We have to change this. And how do we change this? I know it's education, yes, but now we have a better tool. The tool is social media. And the second thing with the social media, that you decided within yourself that you're going to be an agent that is going to deliver this information. How do you deliver this information? One word I want everybody to remember: intentionality. Just like in the breast cancer, she is intentional in what she's doing. For us as educators, we're intentional. I go into social media as a parent or as a woman. What do I want to do? What platforms do I belong to? What are we talking about platforms? How do I make my presence in that platform science oriented with a science language? For the girl child, I'm an educator. Yes, in my classrooms is expected. But this is the thing. Our teachers also have to get intentional in how they teach math, English, science. And why do I say that? Science is cross-curriculum. It cuts across English, it cuts across math, it cuts across social studies, it cuts across history. I could take science to a lawyer. I could take science to a market woman, and it's in intentionality. What do I want to deliver? And then I could take science to that child. So we're using social media for the woman, for the girl. I also thought about this. We start to market the young girls. They all have phones. Too early, if you ask me. But because they have phones, we don't want to have them be in those sites that bully them. That's not our goal. Our goal is to bring them to the part where they are communicating and they're leveraging social media. So you form groups from their friends, from their classes, and you set the tone. You as the administrator of that platform, the parent, you can create a small platform for your friends, your children's friends. And in this, you introduce a science topic and you throw it out there. You'll be amazed what the students will come back with, or what your children will come back with. So what you do is you're intentional in what you're doing. You be the parent, you create a small platform, and you be the administrator. So you're watching what they're presenting them, and you're watching that they're not being bullied, but you're watching that they're being intentional in what they're doing on that platform. That's how we get involved as parent and as a woman, even an adult family, adult woman, and because the little ones might not be able to do this, but you as an adult, you're intentional in going after social media to communicate STEM. Next slide, please. Desired outcome. I'm too passionate about STEM. And my outcome is that I get STEM into all age. I talked to my 85-year-old mom about science, and she's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, yes, ma, you know, I just changed the language. Let's talk your language. Don't make it difficult. Talk to her the level she needs to understand. Do it all the time. Hit the interest levels. In those little platform groups you're creating amongst your children and their friends, amongst your peers, amongst your professionals, pick interest levels. If I have to talk, and I'm going back and forth on the breast cancer, I could really turn that into a lecture or into a classroom activity. Why? I could take that breast and I go to the biology. What are the cells? What are they mean? What is the chemicals that you find that makes a breast cancer? I take it into chemistry. Okay, then I take it into the movements. How is things transported in the body? I can do the physics of it. We can do the biology, and all at your fingertips. They're not difficult. Is accessing information on the internet. We all have internet. We all access it, but let's use it purposefully. So you're talking STEM to all age, at all time, and all interest level for girls, women, and we're constantly talking, showing, and delivering science as a lifestyle. Next slide. And here we are. I love the statement from National Science Teachers Association. It says, we must strongly assert that gender equity is critical to the advancement of science and to the achievement of global scientific literacy. And I love the statement scientific literacy. And why do I say that? I have a class I teach currently. When I get in that class, all I want to say, you know, when a student comes and they want to make an A, okay, my first assertive statement to them is, you are all going to get an A. And if anybody make anything less than A, I'm going to be upset with them, because that means they did not put in the effort. My next statement is, we talk, that we talk science in this class. So your conversation has to be science oriented. At my class is a talking class, but it's a science talking class. If you don't understand, ask questions. Don't sit there and act like you know what you're doing, but I ask you to talk about science. So I'm changing the way, especially when it comes to chemistry. Chemistry has a language, biology has a language, physics has a language. You name it. I talk about engineering, called material science. Everything you do is science. So you talk about it. You make them scientifically literate. It's not in how much you've memorized the past exam, but in how much you have digested the information and able to communicate it. So I call it with dialogue. We have a conversation about chemistry. So it's a conversational chemistry, a conversational biology, a conversational physics, a conversational, you name it. Turn it into a conversation. In that platforms, let them conversate about whatever idea you have presented that they're all looking at. Gender equity. When we do this, we begin to open the eyes, take out the fear, remove the ambiguity, we reciprocate information, and the girl is comfortable with the information, because the biggest thing is that, oh, it is difficult, I can't do it. No, when they have engaged themselves on a daily basis on science, definitely they will be comfortable with it. And what's next from all this? It's going to turn into a STEM career. Why not? That baby's comfortable with the information. You talk physics, they can talk. They learn how to conversate. They learn how to dialogue. They learn how to communicate science, whether it's on the platform, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in school. Listen, first day of class, when in my class, you get something to tell me about. I have this teacher that will come in the classroom with a bag of all manners of things. He tells you, he's just first day of chemistry. He tells you to measure it. How do you measure carbon? But you do measure carbon. If a child from first day in a chemistry class can measure carbon, the periodic table will not be difficult. They will understand the valence electrons. They will understand that the periodic table is the language of chemistry. And once they can digest it, I tell story about the periodic table. And why am I specific about what I'm talking about? And I'll end up in a minute. Is I had a professor, not until my master's degree, that I got comfortable with talking about chemistry. I knew it. I took exams. I passed. I got good grades. But I knew inside me something was missing. I didn't have conversational chemistry until I met Dr. McVeigh at Clark Atlanta University. And he will come in the first day master's program. He tell you stories about a periodic table. He tell you stories about everything. So I turned my class into a storytelling. It's a conversational science. And if we can take science to the platform and make it conversational, we will remove the ambiguity in it. We will remove the difficulty, and we'll make our young ones comfortable to become STEM career-oriented girls. Next slide. I just summed up all that I just said is what you see here. So you create a state of equal ease of access. Platforms becomes that ease of access. Resources are at your fingertips. You ensure that the girls and women globally understand the agenda. When a child understands who they are, oh, you're a woman, you go into the kitchen. Oh no, kitchen is science. Playing is science. So it takes away that you're a woman. It just tells you, I am a scientist. And that would propel me to start that program that called You Be the Scientist. And I come in, I'm like, you a scientist? Oh no, I don't like science. I'm saying, why? Why don't you like science? I don't understand this. I say, you don't understand because nobody has communicated it to you. Let's communicate. And I'll begin with simple stuff that they can communicate and relate to. And before you know it, it's like, oh, listen, I love this class. You're my favorite teacher. I said, no, you just availed yourself to the information and you took away the fear. And your mind is open to explore and to learn that science is really fun. And on that note, we have given science to the platform, and we're receiving a career-minded, STEM-minded young ladies, and we're removing the disparity, and we're calling this some level of equality, because we still have to deal with the pay raise and the professional levels of it. But on this level, we clinch it with the understanding that science is a language, and we communicate it in conversation, and we take away the fear. And that young girl is comfortable enough to become a STEM career-oriented young woman. Thank you so much. Next slide. Thank you. And I'll avail myself to questions at the end of it.
Thank you very much, Professor Ngozi. That was an amazing one. I'm still scared of science. I wish I had gotten this information earlier. Maybe I could have done something about it. I found it very difficult to pass chemistry, but it's okay. I'll pass it on to my daughter who wants to be a medical doctor, following the life of her mentor. Thank you very much. We try to talk about science whenever and wherever. All right, without wasting much time, I'm going to be introducing our third speaker. She's Grace Linus. Grace is an outstanding scholar who became the first to break a 13-year record in her department by graduating with a first-class honor in physiology in the University of Uyo, Nigeria. That happened in 2015, and she's currently lecturing in the same department. She graduated as a top 3 in her class in 2021 during her master's program in the University of Lagos, Nigeria. She can be called the budding scholar with many dreams and aspirations. She has authored a book titled The Extraordinary Student Mind to help and guide students who aspire to do exploits in their academics. Grace is a co-founder of Gleams Global Communications, a writing and publishing company situated in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. As a creative, Grace Bassi has personally worked with diverse individuals and businesses, both at the local and international level, to create content that meets their unique needs. You can call her a writing and research assistant wizard. She's mentored to so many teens, and she's an aspiration to many. Please, with a warm welcome, help me welcome Grace Bassi. She'll be speaking to us on creating gender sensitive and gender transformative content. Creating gender sensitive and gender transformative content. Welcome, Grace. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Geda Tefia.
Thank you very much.
I've been introduced already, so I wouldn't want to go into details. So you're all welcome to the 67th session of the United Nations Common Status of Women Parallel Event 2023. And the theme for the year is enhancing gender equality in daily life through online social media. Like I've been introduced earlier on, I'll be discussing on how we could use social media to create gender sensitive and gender transformative content in the advancement of the advocacy for gender equality. Next slide, please. All right, so in this session, we'll be looking at this, a quick introduction, background, SITE, which is an acronym for how we could use social media to advance gender inequality issues, and then our conclusion. Next slide, please. All right, so over the years, the role of the woman and her worth at home, in the workplace, and in different strata of the society has been the subject of much debate. According to the United Nations, all individuals, regardless of their gender, should have equal human rights, opportunities, and protection. According to a World Bank report, in spite of the advocacy for gender equality, there still exists much legal parity between men and women economically and otherwise in many countries of the world. And it is widely believed to be a political influence. So in this session, we'll look at how we can promote gender equality using social media in our daily life. And the focus, of course, will be how we can utilize gender sensitive and gender transformative content. Next slide, please. So women are generally seen as disadvantaged in the society, with social construct and culture playing a huge role in it. According to a World Bank report, nearly 2.4 billion women globally don't have the same economic rights as men. About 178 countries maintain legal barriers that affect women in terms of job restrictions, and 95 countries don't guarantee that a woman and a man who is equally qualified and competent for a job will receive equal pay. On a global scale, women still have 3/4 of the legal rights afforded to men, which is an aggregate of about 76.5 out of 100, indicating that wide legal parity. Next slide, please. So in the fight for gender equality, only 14 countries in the world offer full legal protection for women. You know, in the next slide, we are going to see how and what it means to have full legal protection for women. All right, so next slide, please. All right, so this is a figure from Statista, and if you can see it clearly, you will see that the first 14 countries, Belgium, France, Denmark, Latvia, Luxembourg, Sweden, Iceland, Canada, Portugal, Ireland, Greece, Spain, Germany, and the Netherlands. These are the 14 countries that have granted women the full rights that the men are equally, that the men also have equal rights to. And you can see the countries below it, their percentage. You have UK having just 97.5%, followed by the US having 91.3%. Then we have Japan, but the least on the figure is Qatar, which only has 29.4% of the rights that women enjoy when compared to the men. And when we talk of full legal rights, we are referring to laws concerning freedom of movement, work, equal pay, marriage, child rearing, business ownership, asset management, and pension taken into account. It means when a woman and a man stands side by side, all of these are considered and they stand equal chance of having access to opportunities and roles that would benefit both sexes. Next slide, please. So we see that gender equality is always a political choice. And through improved policy design, we can have more equitable paths being developed. But why that might take some time for the government of different countries to push for this advocacy, how do we utilize the new media, which is the social media, to promote gender equality? Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so when we talk about gender sensitive, please. The slide before this, please. Okay, this is just to educate us on what we mean by gender sensitive and gender transformative. All right, gender sensitive refers to acknowledging and highlighting existing gender differences, issues, and inequalities, and consider them in the design and implementation of strategies and actions. While gender transformative approach, or gender transformative means an approach that aims to challenge existing gender norms, roles, and expectations that reinforce gender inequality. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so these are the ways we can use to advance gender equality in different countries of the world. I have an acronym here, SIGHT. The first we have here is sensitize. And sensitize means to make aware. Okay, for us to drive gender equality on social media, the woman must first know her worth, that the society does not define who she is. A woman must first be made to understand who she truly is, regardless of our marital inclination. So from the girl child to the wife, to the mother, to the single mom, to the divorcee or the widow. Okay, these people must know that their worth is not defined by their marital failure or success or whatever decisions they take in their marital endeavor. So we can create content that would help women discover who they are, that they are more than the society has painted them to be. All right, the next is to share opportunities that would advance the cause of the women and share trainings, skills, anything whatsoever that can help the woman, better empower herself, because an empowered woman will be able to fight gender inequality wherever she finds herself in. And the next way we can push social media to advance gender equality is to have mentors. Okay, women who have suffered gender inequality should be able to share content on their different social media platforms that can help the woman who is somewhere in the world that is looking for a voice she can look up to, that can tell her, hey, I was once in this mess, but this is how I came out of it. So we should have mentors who have overcome the fight against gender inequality to help those who are looking up to them. And then the next thing we can do is to amplify the voices of the underrepresented, which is the girl child and the women, and let them know the prevailing gender inequality issue, so that when they are faced with them, they won't see it as a new thing. So when we amplify these things, it will better prepare them to handle any case of gender discrimination whatsoever. And then the last on sensitize is network. This is where women connect, other women to people that can be of help to them, to help them better themselves, as well as advocate for gender equality. The next we'll look at is inspire. Okay, inspire means to stimulate confidence in someone, and it will also create a desire to do something. So the average woman needs strong female role models to inspire confidence in them. And in the next slide, you're going to see I listed some strong female voices and organizations that personally I've followed over the years. One of them is the pink lady herself, Dr. Annie. Through what she's doing, she canvasses for one of the biggest cancer awareness work in Nigeria. That, sharing stories of what she's doing would inspire a little girl or that woman somewhere that needs a push to explore our full potentials. So when we share content around women doing great things, it will help women to be confident in their abilities, in their potentials, and that can make them pursue their potentials to the fullest. Another social media account I follow is the Female Lead. They also do the same thing. They bring in stories of women from diverse background, to share their stories, their hurdles, just to inspire the women. So when we create content around stories, strong female voices that are doing wonderful things in their different sphere of life, it will help the girl child, the underrepresented, regardless of where they are, to be encouraged, to be inspired, and to be ambitious eventually. All right, the next we have is train. I talked about mentoring the first, under sensitize. It also comes in here. Training is a conscious thing that we must do, even in the content we create online. Because whether we like it or not, people are watching us. People are reading our content, even when they don't make comments or like our comment. So when we have that at the back of our mind, we can create specific content that could upskill the average woman that doesn't have anything to do. Like I said earlier on, that gender equality can be fought when the woman is knowledgeable and when she's empowered. So when we have content, tailored content around skills, education and all of that, it will help those that the only access they have is the social media, and they could spend all day online. So when we are conscious and deliberate in the content we create, it will eventually empower women in the fight against gender inequality. Okay, another thing about training is, I talked about strong female voices. Okay, so strong female voices that have made it in life should make it a point of contact to volunteer. It's very hard. Like I mentor students and teens. Most of the time, I'm the one that walk up to them. The average person does not know what it means to be mentored. So top female voices should volunteer to train and encourage girls for a transformative and intergenerational change. Without this, the fight for gender equality might take longer than expected. Then the last here is, education. Though I've mentioned it in brief, when a woman is educated, when she knows who she is, when she's upskilled, when she's well schooled, that equals empowerment, and she will join in the fight, in the advancement of gender equality. Okay, so on our social media, we could also share content, educate the public, specifically the women and the girl child, on relevant issues that borders around gender inequality, because education will help you to be aware that these things exist, and it will also arm you beforehand to be prepared to handle them whenever you come, and whenever you encounter them. And then lastly on that, women can be encouraged to take lead roles in politics. We talked about politics influencing policy design. Sorry about that. So when we have more women in the political sphere, it will help in the fight, for creating laws and policies that favor gender equality in the world. Like if you take your mind back to the figure I shared with you, only 14 countries in the world. How many countries do we have in the world? So when we have more women share stories of, their political strides and ambitions, the average woman who does not have ambition can begin to have ambitions to also lead politically. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I've talked about this. You could look them up. Chioma, Ifeanyi Eze of accounting. This is one woman, Chioma and Nelly. I follow them every day because they have one content or the other that helps the woman better herself and well positioned to contend favorably with the male gender. And I've talked about the Female Lead, a UK-based non-profit organization. Next slide, please. Okay, so in conclusion, we've seen that gender equality is not a new thing. It's an age-long issue that is influenced by cultural and social norms and has negatively impacted the roles women play in different sociological spheres. Okay, while there have been moves to end this parity, only 14 countries in the world have successfully and legally closed the gap between men and women. So because the issue of inequality is principally political, more policy design can fast track the goal of gender inequality. But while this might take time, we could advance the cause through the creation of gender sensitive and gender transformative content on the different social media that we belong to. This way, the advocacy or the fight to see that the woman lives her fullest potential will be possible. Next slide, please. All right, so you could, if you are interested in further studies, you could, visit these resources. All right, next slide, please. So thank you for having me on this session.
Thank you. Welcome. Dutch girl, you're muted.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much, Grace. There was something you said that was really striking. You said keep posting, even if no one is commenting. People are seeing it and it's transforming lives. Thank you very much. That was quite an interesting one. So we just move quickly to our host, Angel. She's the president of Taiwan Pink Mulan Association. Taiwan Pink Mulan Association is a local NGO in Thailand, southern Taiwan, since 2021. They have been advocating for girls and women's rights, especially focusing on single women and menstrual education. Please, with a warm welcome, let's welcome Angel. She has something to say to us for the next 3 to 5 minutes. Angel, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Please put my slide. Okay. Tainan Pink Mulan Association was founded for 2 years in Taiwan, and we delegate in advocacy and educate for women and girls' health and gender equality as our vision. I'm going to introduce how our organization did the gender equality advocacy by online media in Taiwan and focus on introducing different platforms tools. Next page, please. So in advocacy tools, there are 7 common methods in Taiwan. As I point out in these circles, information research, media, socials, mobilization, lobbying, litigations, networks, alliance, and coalitions. But what our organization mainly used instead of during the pandemic stage is media to have the operation cost down and effective communication with our followers. Next page, please. So as we know, users have different interests in using online media in different countries. In Taiwan, there are 4 online social medias very popular: podcasts, Facebook, Line apps, and Instagram. I will briefly introduce these 4 platforms as the following. Next page. For Facebook, Facebook has few unique that we can do to further our campaigns, including promoting post, sign-up page, live stream, and video. In the function of spin-off pages, it's more effective to create unique pages dedicated to a specific campaign. People on Facebook are more likely to connect with our organization if they see a single issue or cause that resonates with them. In the function of promoting posts, we can get more access on our campaign or pages at a small cost per impression or engagement. Promoting posts also allowed us to carve out highly target audience. In the function of video, it can change up our content if we are trying to, especially if we're trying to educate them on issue. In the function of live streams, there are incredibly popular way to engage people in the moment. Next page, please. For Instagram, it's a new service than Facebook, as we know, but it's rapidly increasing in popularity with younger audience in Taiwan, as its name suggests, relies on photos to relay a message as opposed to text. Sharing photos and videos with your followers. Besides, it also connect with friends, celebrities, and friends. The funny part is it has an array of features from short videos to live streaming and private messaging. Next page. For Line apps, in Taiwan, Line apps is the social app of choice for user young and old. it provided entertainment contents. So in Taiwan, an agreement online is as good as a handshake or written contract to many people. It's used by governments and elected officials to communicate with their constituents and each other. The alternative line app and media streaming stickers, playing in-app games, using Line Pay for electronic payments, making voice and video calls and texting. Next page, please. For podcast apps, podcasting, the preparation and distribution of audio files using RSS feeds to the computers and subscribe users. Each podcast is a series created by a host and then published episode by episode online, which I draw the maps here, where the subscribers can then download and listen to each episode when it's released. So let's move on gender equality issue. Next page, please. This is a report under the Gender Equity Education Action from Taiwan Ministry of Education on 2019. It is said most victims of sexual harassment and sexual assault on campus are female. Most victims of sexual bullying on campus are male. Next page, please. Therefore, our organization work on advocating gender equality for girls on campus by Facebook online tools as our main media tools. Most of our members are career women and have time limits involving in offline activities. So as using, we normally post the issue and activities monthly, but we don't pay much attention on like, because our Facebook followers are not a lot. Thus, we want to get more audience or followers with us by podcast as the trend. Next page, please. As I mentioned before, we delegate in advocacy and educate for women and girls' health and gender equality as our mission. However, we are just new and on the process of using online media to get more involvement on advocacy. So this year, we are working on podcast program providing inspiring women's stories and Instagram for global connection and more gender-biased advocacy activities on campus. Next page, please. So in my conclusion, we should aware of harnessing the power of media. Social media can help us connect with groups doing similar work in our community or across countries, which can help increase awareness of our issue or bring a spotlight to the work of all groups involved. We provide some tips for the suggestion of using online social media. One, focus. Keep it sweet, short, and to the point. Be clear and articulate about the issue. Second, grab attention. Consider include a photo, video, or graphic to attract more people and get more news, or views, likes, and shares. Next one is amplify. Make sure your ask is heard by engaging your supporters and key partner groups. Hashtag could be a big help. The last one is post often. If you want your account to look alive, it is important to update it regularly, but be careful not to spam your followers. Next page, please. So that's all my sharing with you today. Thank you for your attention.
Wow, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Angel. That was an amazing presentation. I just found out the difference between sexual harassment and sexual bullying. It just crossed my mind that they're entirely two different things. Thank you very much for that presentation. So quickly, because we are behind schedule, in the next 3 minutes, can we just have any questions? Do you have any questions in the next 3 minutes so we can wrap up this amazing presentation? Does anyone have any question? Just show by lift of hand, and then you ask the question.
I
Any
think Dr.
questions?
Hannah is present, or
Okay.
is there any addition, comment, contribution? Dr. Hannah, you were public health specialist, and she had chatted that she wants 3 minutes to contribute to the team. So if she's present, moderator, please, can you call, ask her to take the floor?
Okay. Please, Dr. Hannah, right? Please, if you're here, can we see you? You have 3 minutes to contribute to whatever you want to share with us, please. I don't think she's here.
Dr. Ayuba?
Okay, she's here, but she needs to unmute herself.
So while we're waiting for her, we can take questions from other participants or contributions. I don't know. Do you see any hands raised?
Hello. Hello.
Oh, she's here
Hi.
now.
Hello. Good afternoon. Nice to meet
afternoon,
you all
Doctora.
on the
Good
line.
afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I was trying
Good
to
afternoon.
settle down. Yes. It has been a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much for such a beautiful online webinar. I just hope all our cancer survivors have joined and have really understood that they are all advocates one way or the other. Social media has evolved to become a tool for public health education and health promotion. And it facilitates greater information sharing and opportunities via dialogue, and it allows users to create their own content. I was very happy when I heard about the podcast, when I also listened to Instagram. I just returned from Saudi Arabia. They don't have WhatsApp videos, so it's only the Instagram video that I was even able to be calling home and hearing my kids and seeing what is happening in the house. So social media has many ways of affording us opportunities for consumers to exchange strategic health messages on popular social media channels, including Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, through various modalities via text, GIFs, images, and videos. And this social media also has analytics and certain tools that even helps to assess the reach and the dose of communication and information that we send out. It also affords us a form of assessment of how far have we gone, such that even we content sharers, we get to experience our works, and then we now modify our health promotion messages. And all this helps to give that effective health outcome. We just want better health outcomes in our patients. I, as a public health specialist, as an oncologist in Nigeria, a low and middle income country, I am faced with health inequities every day in the office, in the clinic. It is so it is heartbreaking, and we have seen these systematic differences in health status for different population groups, making some groups have worse health outcomes and increased difficulty accessing health care as a result of these systems that influence the lives of our patients. These health inequities I always talk about, they are a result of our human-made systems, which gives privileges to certain groups of people and actively oppresses other groups. As a woman in the grassroots, I see cancer patients in the clinic. We all know that breast cancer has a very high burden. It affects our women. So women are more likely to be exposed to disease causative conditions in the grassroots. These same women are less likely not to have access to preventive human papillomavirus vaccinations and many other preventive health promotive tests or screening tests. And such women do have less chances of even knowing about pap smear or even have had a pap smear in the past. And when you look at all these women that I see in the clinic, I just see health inequities every day. These women are more likely to present misinformed with misdiagnosis. Sometimes they come to hospital, but they are then the whole health system treats them here and there. They present late. As an oncologist, you see a patient who has less access to oncofertility services. These women are more likely to have less access to even pain management. Pain management that is supposed to be fundamentally available. Such women also have less access to mental health services. Many times when we see patients, it's not just the medical oncology, the radiation oncology. Many times we have to see to the social aspect, that psychosocial aspect. Many of these women are exposed to spousal abandonment. Many of them intimate partner violence, even with the cancer diagnosis, even with the symptoms they're managing. These women have so much of the social aspects that act as impediments to their care. So I believe social media in many ways have gone a long way in improving our patients' outcomes. Patients are more aware. They are able to even contact you. While I was in Saudi Arabia, many of my patients were even doing Instagram videos just to talk with me, to tell me one or two problems. And I refer them to my colleagues in Nigeria, but they'll say, no, let me just hear it coming from you. So social media in many ways has helped us. And we as content creators, women, we should go a long way. We should strive to continue to transform wherever we stand. We should help our fellow women who are likely facing health inequities even as we speak. So I just hope my audio has been good. Sorry, I just dashed in from the bathroom now. I didn't want to miss.
Yes, it's been amazing. Thank you very much.
And
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's all
Yeah.
that I have to discuss with our wonderful and distinguished speakers. Thank you for the inputs. I wish we could have a link so that I also share on my social media handles.
You will get the video. It's recorded live
All
on
right.
Taipei TV, and it's also recorded
that's
on
good.
their YouTube channel. So we'll get to share the video
that's
after the
wonderful.
event. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Over to you, moderator. I don't know if there are any hands lifted. We have 7 minutes to go. And
Okay.
Yes, my hands are lifted. My hands are lifted.
Okay, Blessing, you just have 2 minutes so we can wrap this up immediately. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. I just want to make my contribution. So my name is Blessing. I'm currently a doctoral candidate of public policy at Jackson State. That's in Mississippi. So I think social media is a powerful tool that can be used to revolutionize gender equality in many ways, especially in Africa, where there is high level of inequalities against women and girls. Through the use of social media, awareness can be raised about gender equality issues and educate people on the importance of gender equality. By sharing information and stories about the challenges that women and girls face, we can help people understand the need for equality and encourage them to take action as well. Social media has helped women engage and create communities online to protect themselves in societies that women experience disparities at all levels. This community building has birthed a lot of successes in efforts towards curbing gender-based violence, especially in my home country, Nigeria. Like a typical case was when there was a trend of women going missing when they went for job interviews in the city of Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. Social media helped to uncover this mystery when this particular girl alerted her Twitter community that she was going for a job interview and kept updating the community on her journey. She also shared the contacts of the recruiter, and when she had become incommunicado, A search party started online. The identity of the culprit was unveiled through social media. It was discovered that this murderer lures young girls in search of jobs, and when they come, he kills them and extracts their body parts for illegal sales. He is currently standing trial, and unfortunately, he had killed this young lady whose dismembered body was dug up from his backyard. So many women have been saved by the arrest of this murderer, and this was only possible through social media. This shows that using social media to raise awareness encourages women to interact, to share their thoughts and experiences, and engage in discussions to protect themselves. This is success towards gender equality. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Blessing. That was an amazing contribution. Please, social media is important. It's now the most important part of our lives.
Yeah.
Let's harness it, make good use of it, share stories, tell our truth, and create communities to make this place a better place for women. Thank you very much to our speakers, Angel, Dr. Annie, Dr. Ngozi, and Grace. This is the first webinar I've actually enjoyed. I've stayed through from start to finish. Thank you very much. Let's do this again next year, but this time live in New York City. Thank you so much. Have an amazing evening.
Hi, thank you. Before we go, please, can you put on your video? Let's take a picture. It's got so that we can share on our social media status that we came, we listened, we saw, we conquered, we contributed, and we are committed to affect our social media space for good as we do the needful to bridge the inequalities across the various sectors of our nations where we are. So we will take the picture on the count of. I need to take a picture. So we will count, we will say stronger together, and we will take the picture. 1, 2, go. Stronger together.
Stronger together. Stronger together.
Sorry,
did you take a picture?
Just coming back from work.
Okay.
Please, I would like to have the summary of the topic.
Okay, you will get it. Please drop your email. Drop your email in the chat box. In the next 2 minutes, we're closing, we're shutting down. And it will be aired on Taiwan TV, and they will send us their YouTube link so that you can share the video when you're done. I see my amazing professor, Professor Elizabeth Maso. I love you. Thank you for joining. We appreciate everybody that has joined across the globe. Engineer Stella, I see you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Siri Waxenberg, Olatunde, my brother Daniela, thank you for joining. Yingfing Su, thank you. We appreciate you. Just drop your email. I hope I got it right. I've seen Martha, BK Fitness, Joy Iya, we miss you and we love you. Say hi to the babies. Mwah.
Thank you.
Get well soon.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Ayuba, you are the professor of gender inequality. Please help us close the gap. Spoken like a pro. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frank, for hosting us. I think Frank is from Taipei TV, and I want to thank my host. My host is Angel. I met her at the 65th session of the UNCSW, 64th session, and we have been partners putting our hands together to bridge the care gap across the globe. It's an honor to work with you. There are no dull moments with Angel. You can reach her. She's very accessible. I love you. I'm sure you know that.
Thank
you, Angel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Church Girl. Today is our wedding anniversary, and she's here. I love you. Thank you.
I love you. Thank you. Okay. Bye. See you next year.
I see my mentees, Asu, all the way from the UK. Thank you, Beauty Carey. Thank you, Blessing Echo, for that awesome contribution. It wouldn't have been complete without you. Thank you. I know that I love you. Please keep in touch. We will share the videos. Or if you follow follow me on my LinkedIn page. You will get it, Nchewi Ani. You will get the video from here after. I appreciate Madam Gozing Mago, Madam. Because of you, I'm coming to do chemistry again, according to some people.
Chemistry.
So we're logging out now. One love. Happy International Women's Day in retrospect. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for having me.